On this project, we're going to have a little more fun, and we're going to put a little more design. I have some alpaca that has been dyed some nice bright colors and a bit of kid mohair to coordinate with it. In this case, this has never been carded, it's not top. So we're going to do kind of a little bit of carding in with our blend. And then we're going to take it off the cloth in another way. Okay. My basic sweater that's designed is going to have an overall lilac hue. So I'm going to brush on some of this fiber that's been dyed. It still has some vegetable matter in it. And I'm first going to make it my base for my overall color. Little pink. We're not looking for homogeneous. I'm going to pick out anything that shouldn't be there. Fiber with too much kimp. I'm putting it on real lightly. But I want a little more work, and I'm going to take my flick and I'm going to brush the fiber in. A little more force than just applying, so I use my hand on the top of the board. And much like you would a hand carder, I'm going to reapply fiber where I want it. So this has done two things. It has carded out my fiber. Vegetable matter is falling down into the teeth or off to the side. So my fiber, little overall effect, lightly, I'm going to brush it in. Now for my color, I want color in particular places. I want some pop up here in the corner. Okay, what I have here is not going to affect what's down here. But in this case, I want to put it in particular places. Once again, I'm working with a nice even flow. Now my mohair, when I spin this, I'm going to want locks hanging out. I'm going to want some texture. So I'm going to decide in each place right below my nice yellow pop, I'm going to throw in some, and notice how I'm just kind of cramming it in there. I'm just putting it right where I want it. And I feel like I need some right here. And I've got too much, so I need to move it around a bit. And I want a little more bright orange because I think it sets the purple off. Okay, so I have my pop, and now I'm going to finish off by applying more alpaca, nicely dyed alpaca, anywhere I see thin parts. Now here I see vegetable matter. I'm going to pull it out because I'm not going to be doing any more carding. I did a little bit of carding. So this, I'm just, my hand stroking it is enough to open up the fiber and get it ready for making the roll eggs and spinning. And I'm going through here and picking out colors where I want them and placing them. Now this won't be a perfect pattern, but the overall, if I repeat this, I know right where I put my orange, I know right where I put my mohair. So here I'm blending color and texture. But just with the stroking of my hands, I'm able to open the fiber up nicely. Now if I wanted it more homogeneous, I could take my flick and I could card just in the particular areas, but not on this one. Once I have it all laid up, I'm going to brush it in and I'm going to roll it off. For fun, we're going to roll it off in a diagonal. Have a completely different effect. It'll be a much more textured yarn. And the color patterns will be different. Once again, I start in the corner. But I start at the end furthest away from me. Notice the handle is not directly on my belly, the handle's off to the side, so I have a nice diagonal to work with. So these are going to blend more because of the way I'm taking it off. And you can repeat this pattern over and over again. I don't really, personally, most of the time use a perfect pattern. I like the overall piece to be homogeneous and not a complete defined pattern. Okay. We have a large rolag. We could have taken it off in small ones, but this, when it's expanded, produces a very interesting yarn. That's just one method. We could apply the fiber in a diagonal, so let's do that next. So far we've been applying everything straight. But as I say, this is a woolen. Everything doesn't have to be straight. We actually want our fibers jumbled. And when we made this rolag, my fibers are nicely jumbled and crisscrossed. Now let's apply a fiber in a different method. So far we've been applying our fibers nice and straight across. But a woolen, we really want our fibers to be mixed up. So this time, instead of going straight, I am going to apply my fiber diagonally. Now this is not carded fiber. This fiber has only been washed and dyed, and there's some vegetable matter in it. But as I apply it, most of it falls down through the teeth, out of the way, or off the board. Now I want my pops of color, nice contrast to the purple is some nice bright yellows and oranges. Same fleece. Now I'm going to do my texture. I want my mohair in nice small spots because I don't want this to draw out much. I want it to show as a lump in the yarn. And then as I finish that yarn, those little beautiful little tails are going to come to the surface and hang out. And I note where I'm putting the fiber so that I can repeat this over and over again. And once I've put in my pop, my bright colors, I'm going to go back and cover the rest of the cloth once again, so I have about the same amount of cloth, that same amount of fiber on the cloth all over the board. And once again, it is not taking any effort at all for me to do this. When I find vegetable matter a little too much, I pick it out and place it on the side. Also, I have an assortment of long and short fibers in this fleece. Some of the fibers are as short as 1.5 inches, and some of them are as long as 4 inches. This method of preparation allows the different lengths to blend. And when you spin your rolags, they will nicely stay together and draft out. This case, I have a lot of rough. I'm going to go ahead and pick a little of that rough off with my flick. And then I'm going to go ahead and apply it again. So I get a little bit more of a blend here until all my fiber is homogeneous across. Now, if I roll it straight across, my fiber is going to move. The fun part about this is I'm going to make small rolags again, not a big one. You can make a big one, but my choice this time in design is once again a nice small one, because I'm going to make a relatively fine yarn with nice accents of bright colors and mohair ringlets. So each of my colors has moved slightly underneath. So when I draft out, I'm going to get a heathery blend. So just like we did before, we're going to utilize the brush to pick up our fibers and get them started around the dowel. Notice how soft the blend is relative to how sharp they were with our stripes. And we work ourselves across. It looks like I'll get about 5 rolags because I didn't put as much fiber on these. So I have 5 lovely consistent rolags. Each one's going to be a little different because I worked on a diagonal, but it will be consistent across the entire yarn. We can see we have dirt in the carding cloth because there was vegetable matter. Most of it has now come off. I can brush it on out and be ready for the next, or I can decide to clean it later. As you see, it's really up to you to where you want to place your fibers. Imagine short silk in one corner in a checkerboard fashion, and then pull them off all as one large rolag, or pull them off as 4 or 5 small rolags, and spin up and look at the differences of these things. You can make all sorts of patterns and then spin one from one group, one from another, and you can repeat these patterns any way you want. So you have no limits on your design without a lot of work. You can measure, be consistent, and you haven't tired out your arms, and you have beautiful rolags to spin beautiful woolen with.